Hey guys, Shalana here. Welcome to the Bingezone. On today's video, we're looking at the Netflix original series, The Dark Crystal: Age of Resistance. And I have to say, before we even jump into the review, that this show, for a show made of puppets, completely practical effects and puppetry, this show is gorgeous. From the very first scene, it pulls you in and you're like, damn, this is something new. This is something different. This is not something you see on television, because we're in the year 2019 where CGI runs amok, and this show is about puppeteering, and we didn't even dive into the main story yet, and it captivates you just off the aesthetics, the cinematography, the beautiful landscape. Wow, just wow. But enough of me gushing over the visuals. Is this show good? Is the story good? Does it stand up? And is it worth watching? Well, let's dive into that. So in Age of Resistance, we find ourselves on the planet of Thra, which is an alien world. And with this alien world comes different alien species. And we have the Skeksis and we have the Gefling. Now, these are two opposing species. The Gefling were natives of Thra, while the Skeksis came from space because the planet of Thra is given life through this crystal called the Crystal of Truth. And it's kind of like a symbiotic relationship with the crystal and the planet. The crystal revitalizes the planet revitalizes the crystal. It's like a cycle between the crystal and the planet. And everyone lives off this energy. But when the Skeksis show up, they start corrupting the crystal. And then it's up to our three main characters, Rian, Brea, and Deet, to stop the Skeksis. And with these three characters, they all have three very different missions. And that's what I really like about the show. The fact that we're not following one linear narrative, but it's three different characters from three different clans of Gefling, because the Gefling are like elven creatures, and just like elven creatures or humans who inhabit our world, our real world, there's different clans, different races based off of where they live, their skin color, etc. So we're following three different Geflings from three different clans who all have different perspectives on the world and who all have different viewpoints on the Skeksis, who in this world are like benevolent lords. But behind closed doors, the Skeksis are vile, evil creatures who want nothing more than to corrupt the crystal, suck life from it, and suck life from the planet to live immortal. And these three characters have to stop them. Now, I'm not going to tell you how they do it or why they get into it, because that would be spoilers, and we're not trying to spoil you guys here. Look for my explained video after this. But I will say that these three different main characters, and Agra, who is kind of like the spirit of the planet manifested as a guardian, they have to stop the Skeksis, but they all have their own journey. And within their own journey, we get to learn more about these characters. And I have to say, with three different main characters, you could think like you might have a favorite over another, but based on their own stories and their character development, no character really is head over heels better than the other one, just because they all work, they all have their purpose. Like me personally, I love Deet. And that's because Deet is new to this world. She's from the Groton race, right? So they live underground. And when she comes above ground, she is like the audience character, because we meet the world and see the world through her eyes. So everything she's seeing for the first time, we're seeing. So like I said earlier, the cinematography and the way that they built this world, the environments, it's just so gorgeous. So when she's in awe, we're in awe. Like everything she's seeing, and she's like, whoa. We're like, or at least I'm like, whoa, this is some cool shit. And I've never seen this before. And then we have the other characters, Brea, who is another perspective of the audience character, because Brea loves to learn new things. So when she's learning things too, and she's learning and digging for information, we're also learning things as well and digging for information. And then we have Rian, who is the warrior, who is essentially the Legolas of this universe. And I just love it all. I reference Legolas because this show is epic in the way that Lord of the Rings was epic. This show is very epic. And I love being enthralled into a world of fantasy where everything is new, everything is fresh, especially in the year 2019 when everything we see are nothing but bombastic special effects and CGI. It is great to see a show with practical effects using puppets. And I have to be clear, I'm not a big fan of puppeteering and practical effects. I'm of the side of CGI. But if they do it like this and they make it as gorgeous as this show comes off, I have to tip my hat off, because this show really made me think to myself, am I watching a puppet show when I could be watching something better? But from the very notion, there is not much better in this show, because it enthralls you in it. It puts you in this cinematic world, this universe, and it expands on it. And I found myself wanting more. After the initial 10 episodes, I just found myself wanting more. And I didn't think I'd be that much into it, because like I said, it's puppeteering in 2019. We just don't do that anymore. But this show is captivating. It's enchanting. The characters are very dynamic and the different races are dynamic, and you tend to gravitate towards more characters because of certain actions. And you can see why this is a prequel to the original 1982. But I don't want to get too deep into it, but you can see why the events of the 1982 movie happened because of just how some of these Gefling react to the news about the Skeksis, or just how it all unfolds based on character decisions. And I just love the fact that this show also introduces new characters that were not in the 1982 version, so that way we can have a compelling story. And we don't really know where this is going, because this is a prequel, but it could be going down a different path than the 1982 one, because there are certain leeways in character interactions that happen a lot different, and certain things are a lot different than I remember from the 1982 movie. So I like that aspect. Overall, I enjoyed this series. It's a breath of fresh air in a sea of sameness. A lot of these TV shows coming out nowadays are the same. Special effects, visuals, superheroes, action. Like, no one takes the chance to make cool stuff anymore. And just using puppets and that type of animatronics and special effects and world building. World building is key. Just you doing all of that in this new series, I have to say, like, breath of fresh air. It's something new in the sea of sameness, and I thoroughly enjoyed it all. Again, I kept this as spoiler-free as possible. If you guys want to dive deeper into the world of Thrall with me, I have a video coming out very soon about the entire series, breaking it down, explaining it all, the ending, the characters, the interactions, coming very soon. Anyway, look out for that, and if you like the video, definitely give it a thumbs up, hit the subscribe button if you guys have not already, and until next time, binge on.